Hi everyone, I'm Steph with Snakes and Psychology. This is Evie, my little ball python. If you want to have a look at my Instagram, it is Evie and the Noodles, and I'll put a link in the description. Today I want to talk about burnout and maybe give you a little bit of a backstory as to why on earth I've decided to even start this channel in the first place. So it's basically my two main loves in life are psychology and snakes. I might do a few tutorials on how to learn languages because I can speak Russian, and basically just how I came to the point of burnout and being almost unable to continue, and kind of what it's done to me and what it's done to me physically and mentally, and a few things I'm planning to do in order to kind of rectify it, and how to basically what I'm planning on doing to recover. So a few of the things it's done to me is, the obvious physical one is that I've gained about 35 kilos since coming into this job that's burnt me out so badly. Again, I can't really talk about it yet because I'm still there, but in about 3 or 4 months I will be able to basically say what I'm currently doing. But it's a huge national organisation, and it's very kind of, it'll make a lot more sense when I can say what it is, but for now I'll just say that it's very kind of, and I think my particular workplace is particularly bad for it, and that is lack of communication, everything's at the last minute. You go in the morning and you have no idea what you're going to be faced with. Hello! Yes, I'm... Stop trying to get in my mouth while I'm talking. Evie doesn't want me to talk about this. Okay, cool. What do you want me to talk about then? Evie? These snakes are an absolute antidote to, burnout and everything that is not nice that I'm feeling, because they are such a cure for anxiety. They keep you so kind of grounded and present, and unless they're in feeding mode, they're just very, very slow, and they kind of take life at their own pace. And they're usually very relaxed as well, as Evie is now. Yes, aren't you? Yes. So everything is very last minute, very kind of choppy and changey, and basically it's very, very anxiety provoking because you have no idea what you're going to be faced with on any day. Even, you're constantly hit with new things, almost multiple times a day sometimes, which is really, really difficult from a psychological point of view, because you're just constantly braced for not necessarily disaster, but just something. There are so many you get so many contradictory instructions, so much new stuff comes in all the time. The senior management team kind of act like everything is life and death, which it really, really isn't. But having been here for about 2 years now, that constant kind of mounting anxiety with no real relief just means that people feel so out of control of their lives here, and it's not just me, that it just leads to burnout, because you can't be this stressed for such a long period of time without it doing things to you. And another huge thing is that I've gained about 35 kilos now since coming here about 2 years ago. And if you're thinking like, well, why didn't you leave? I had a minimum contract of 4 years, so I haven't been able to leave. Again, that's one more thing that I'll explain later. But suffice to say, I have felt trapped, anxious, burnt out. I don't trust the management at all. I kind of feel like it's me versus pretty much everyone else. The other people working at my level are nice. They're not really people that I would choose to spend time with outside of work. I'm massively introverted. I'm fairly certain I'm high functioning female autism spectrum, or I might just be a highly sensitive person, which I actually have a feeling those are the same thing. But that weight gain, on top of everything else, has just meant that I've really felt a loss of identity. I've had to change my whole wardrobe of clothes. My body doesn't feel like it used to. So the experience of being me and living life in this body has, changed hugely and really quickly as well. So in about 18 months I went from a UK size 10 to 12 to a size 18 to 20, which means that sometimes I'll pick up a piece of size 18 clothing and it won't be big enough for me. So I am officially plus size. I can't always, in fact, I probably couldn't shop in the average high street shop anymore. I'm 5'10", so I'm really tall, so I don't think I tell people how much I weigh or the size I am. Not that anyone's entitled to that information, and they're almost always surprised by it. They're like, really? You don't look like that. A few things that it has kind of forced me to come to terms with is that kind of chat and setting clear boundaries around the kind of talk you're willing to allow about your body and your health habits, because I've always felt like this, but I've been so kind of indoctrinated in that kind of discipline, personal responsibility, everything's your fault kind of mindset, that it's taken a fair amount of therapy for me to realise that actually I am disciplined, and even though I have been disciplined, I've still gained all this weight. I'm pretty convinced that weight has almost nothing to do with calories in, calories out, which is obviously contrary to pretty much all the health and fitness and advice and information and rhetoric that is bounced around about this kind of thing. But I genuinely feel like, to give you an example, we had a particularly stressful period at work. We were working 12-hour shifts, 4 days at a time, just doing crazy hours in a really stressful time, and pressure was piled on, and I started intermittent fasting. Then I went down to 1 meal a day. I don't think I was eating more than about 1,000 calories a day, and I don't remember gaining a huge amount of weight in that time, but I certainly didn't lose any. All that happened was that my energy fell off a cliff and I could barely keep my eyes open. My head was nodding. At work, on my days off, I would just be in bed. I think that was partly genuine depression and partly self-induced. So I had all that pressure piled on from work, and I was piling pressure on myself to keep the weight off, lose weight, and that was counterproductive. So if I've learnt anything over the last couple of years, it's a lot more self-compassion, a lot more kindness to myself, and I'm certain that as soon as I leave, the weight will probably fall back off. I'm actually not so bothered about kind of appearance. It's clearly my appearance is different than I'm used to, and looking at footage of myself, I can't stand this big double chin that I've got going on. But it's more to do with just the fact that my body is a lot less comfortable than it used to be. A lot more of my body kind of touches itself than it used to. My legs touch each other a lot more. There's a lot more kind of pressure between my arm and my sides. My bust has gone from something like a 34D to like a 38G or something ridiculous. I mean, it's probably TMI, but I find underwired bras too uncomfortable now, so I just wear sports bras. And they're less kind of... I find underwired bras, particularly with the size I am now, they make everything basically stick out too much, and I just don't like it. Another thing that doesn't help is that I didn't get any choice about where I would be working, so I'm actually in a really, really rural part of the UK, and there's very little to do here. The nearest decent city is 2.5 hours away. It's very isolated. It can feel very kind of just like there's nowhere to go, because there kind of isn't. And I think if it weren't for my partner who introduced me to snakes and the snakes themselves, I would be in a lot more trouble than I'm in. So I'm incredibly grateful to all of them for keeping me going. The end is in sight now. I have quit. It has a really long notice period. So I'm hoping it's going to be at least somewhat interesting for you guys to kind of come with me as I hopefully transition out of this job. Honestly, I'm so burnt out that the idea of another job just feels like too much at the minute. I have savings to live on, which is an absolute luxury. I was really hoping to save all that for a house deposit. I don't think I can, essentially. I just haven't got the energy. I think a new kind of high energy, stressful job is just going to send me into another period of kind of real depression. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave this job, find somewhere to rent, hopefully keep costs down as much as possible, and just try and let myself recover. And I also want it to be somewhere that is at least in a town, if not on the edge of a city, where things are in walking distance, because here the closest shop is a half-hour drive away and there is nothing in walking distance. I'm on a peninsula off the west coast of the UK, so the weather is atrocious for 10 or 11 months of the year, and I think there's a pub that's about an hour, maybe an hour and a half walk away, but there's no guarantee that anything will be open when you get there, so you usually have to either Google or phone ahead, and you have to put on full waterproofs if you fancy walking there, which is just not pleasant. So this all sounds very negative, but I think I've just kind of hit the bottom of the wave, and I'm hoping to kind of recover now. I know it's going to be rocky. Yeah. So thank you if you've stuck with the video this far. I'm going to stop rambling now, and I hope this didn't sound like too much of a negative video. I am starting to recover, and with these guys' help, I'll get there. So thank you very much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.